hair probably looks completely awful.
It's not. Is that good now? Cool. You good? Alright guys, welcome back to another Challenge Bros video. So, this video, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be kind of almost podcasty because,
You didn't do the thing.
What's up?
Yeah.
But, in this video, we're going to be much more calm and collected because it's a serious video. It's not actually that serious. It's just we're just trying a little bit of a different style because, the video we filmed, actually tonight,
we're gonna fill you up more than Olive Garden does with bread because we got approximately 2 minutes of completely awful footage.
It was okay, so you'll find out much more in detail what all happened and what all we're doing, but the place we went is called the Ghost Tracks, okay? And it's very eerie place anyways, but if you go there, you can, at the end of these tracks, you can see this weird colorful ball of light, and it fluctuates, it changes colors, it does all kinds of stuff. And the night we went there tonight, which we've been there in the past and we just never really filmed it, we went there tonight to try to film it, and it showed a little bit. It wasn't really showing itself like it usually does tonight.
It was a bit shy today, and sadly that did not make great for camera. However,
it just wouldn't show up on camera, and my infrared died, so we didn't have that. It was just all around, it was just going wrong.
Not to mention the second worst drive of any Challenge Bros video.
Yes. So on the way there, we actually ended up hitting a deer too, which every single time
we have gone, we have hit a deer.
Yes, every single time we have gone to those tracks, we've hit a deer, which is suspicious. But so, and what we're gonna do is basically talk you up on all the history of these tracks and what makes them so creepy. We're also gonna
explain why just the light's there.
Yeah, or at least try to, and then we're also gonna show you, the clips of the footage we took and stuff, even though there's few, they're not very good. But even though it wasn't that great of a video that we took that time, we still put our signature sticker.
And keep in mind, if you guys find this and send us the photos on any social media platform, you will receive $5 via mail if you obviously give us your mailing information, because
yeah, but don't worry, that'll all be on a private platform so that nobody will know your mailing information. However, we do not endorse trespassing whatsoever. It's totally up to you. We are not suggesting you go there, but if you happen to go there and you find our sticker, then send us a picture of you in the location.
By your own free will, and we are not supporters of what you are doing.
Yes, send us a picture of the sticker and you in the picture, and then just give us some small information so we know it's really you and all that, and then we'll ship you $5 just for showing yourself and our sticker together. Okay, so where should we start with? Should we start with some history, or should we start with...
I think the basic history, just so they can understand the actual place.
Okay, so we'll go more into depth with the history.
This is just a very general view.
So basically, general public knowledge of this history, which is kind of like folklore or something along those lines. It's not really 100% known fact. It's just what everybody has come up with. And the history of these ghost tracks is that years and years ago on these tracks, there was a man walking on the tracks holding a lantern, and for whatever reason something happened and he ends up being hit by the train that was coming on the tracks. But not only was he hit by the train, he actually ended up being decapitated. And it's said that the light you see at the end of the tracks is supposedly his lantern still roaming the tracks after his death. That's just the common knowledge legend, I guess you could say, of why there's a random orb, ball of light that changes colors and floats all over the place. And one weird thing about this ball of light, it doesn't matter how far you go down these tracks,
It will say the exact same distance away from you.
you'll never ever get any closer to it.
And I'll say
Unless it comes to you. Which has actually happened one time.
And I'll say it's about 40 feet away. That might be a little too much.
No, yeah, I'd say about 40 feet away-ish is about how far away it is from you at all times. Every once in a while it fluctuates, kind of gets a little farther, a little closer, but you can never get any closer
It
to
stays within the same 35 to 45 range most of the time.
Yes. Also, a little bit of behind the scenes of our Challenge Photos video, or behind the scenes of Arbor Studios, or whatever you want to say. So, we do a lot of things like this that we don't film. A lot of it we do film, but we also...
A lot of it just doesn't make for great video, and it wouldn't be entertaining for you guys. The only reason we're really posting this is just to have some sort of content between our next video, which we have planned out, and that will probably be coming soon for you guys.
Yes, and if you guys want a little sneak peek of what it is, or a little bit of a hint as to what our next planned upcoming video, or our next planned overnight, which is what you guys seem to like the best, it involves a school. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
It's a school.
Which I can already tell you guys, it's going to be an amazing video, and you guys are going to love it. But a little bit behind the scenes is we film these kind of things not on camera. Not only because some of them don't make for good videos, which some of them don't, but also we just enjoy doing this stuff already, which is also why we film it and post it. But we went to this track before. He wasn't here, but it was me, McBosson, cameraman. We all went there, and we went way far down, and we couldn't ever get to the light, and we stayed out there and looked at it and do whatever. We tried to film a little bit to see, and it just wouldn't show up on camera, so we didn't really bother with it. But and then we, had a good time, whatever. It was raining, so we decided to leave early. We left, which this place is nowhere near our house. It's a good ways away. We left, and we came back, and then the next day, we actually get a phone call, and it turns out we were suspected of murder, which I think it's perfectly fine to talk about it now. It's been almost a year now or something like that, but basically there was a house with an old couple in it, right just like 2 houses down from the tracks. It wasn't far at all, and they were tied up and robbed and beat, and if I can remember correctly, the wife survived, but the husband actually dies.
I think he died in the hospital.
Yeah, he died in the hospital, if I remember correctly. And someone had seen our vehicle there, and the police was tipped off about our vehicle, and they tracked the license plate number, and then they got to us, and it turned out that we also matched the description of the people who were there. And so that was a very not fun moment to get the realization that, hey, you're suspected of murder, you may or may not go to jail. But in the end, we, obviously we didn't go to jail, and obviously we're fine. And they didn't.
Thankfully, we're not murderers.
Yes, obviously we're not. We didn't.
More thankfully, we didn't get caught.
I'm pretty sure they found the people too, I'd imagine.
I think so, yeah.
But that happened one of the times we went there. I've only been there about 3 times.
Yeah, since it's quite a distance away, we don't go often.
Yeah.
And it's not like a big track that's out in the middle of nowhere. It's right in the middle of a neighborhood.
Yeah. You would have no idea that you were right next to some ghost tracks.
It's just like a regular track in the middle of a neighborhood.
Yeah. And surprisingly, not that many people know about it for whatever reason. Probably because you can't really film it. It's just doesn't show up.
It's not well known, and it's just not. Then unless you know that it's there, it's not a very eerie place to just be. It's just a regular track in the middle of nowhere. Well, not nowhere. As I said, in the middle of a neighborhood. It's just every average track.
I will say during this video, there's one area where it's kind of interesting because there's like some kind of what I assume animal keeps coming up on us and making. Basically, it sounds like weeping noises, or like it sounds almost like a person, like, or maybe a whistle from a person.
I think it sounds like a fox.
I believe it's most likely something like a fox, but there's no telling, to be honest. So you want to just say something?
Yeah. Also, the tracks, people believe, have emotions. Like if you litter and hit on the actual, metal track, it will turn red and start acting out more. And then obviously if you pick up around or just in general a decent person, it'll be green and it'll just kind of be, calmer in one place. It changes colors a lot between, the whole color wheel. It doesn't have certain colors that it switches between.
Also, I didn't know if you guys have noticed yet, but we're actually, just to make more video and stuff, not just be like every other boring YouTuber, just sitting in our house or whatever. We're in the middle of the forest, camping out. So I think it's probably a good time to go ahead and show the first snippet of the video, like the entrance when we actually got there. So Baruch and Rockhard, go ahead and do the tell them that we're there. Do it now.
I have not looked at the camera this entire time.
You haven't? I've tried to maintain eye contact.
I've looked every now and then I just keep looking at nothing.
You guys still doing here? Alright, you can stop it.
Yeah.
Are there people out there? Oh, wait. It looks like you're retarded.
Yes, kind of so.
Why were we doing a chest cam?
Yeah.
You want your photo?
Yeah.
Go.
There's nobody back.
Well,
Your bag.
I don't care about that.
Ah, that is bright.
Wow, this looks weird. It almost looks infrared. Okay. Oh, there it is. Alright, I'll turn this off, see if it'll pick it up.
Wait.
It's barely showing up tonight. It kind of sucks. Somebody tap a rock on the.
No, don't tap the rock.
Why?
Because the fucking neighbors and dogs gonna start barking.
You do that every time you come here.
The light works.
The white, it's been working just fine. The rock ain't
What? Flash the light. What? Do 1, 2, 3. Something like that.
Sound like they're rocking the woods. Anybody hear that?
I've been hearing a lot of stuff in the woods. That's why I came thinking.
Hey. If I had the infrared working, I could see so much. Sounds like dogs barking at a distance. If you just watch for a long time, you'll see it. I don't think any of this is going to show up on camera though. I don't know why. Oh, I brought something. Forget what I brought. You know what I'm getting? What? Getting the EMF.
What?
EMF. Hopefully that'll show up something. Can't believe the infrared's not working. That really fucking sucks. Where are you, EMF? Yeah, up there. I brought this probably. Here.
What is that?
For EMF right here.
Yeah. I don't know what happens if you put it like right on here.
Oh, look, y'all missing it. Y'all missing
What? The light? Hmm? Oh, there it is.
Yeah, if you do it slow, it'll communicate kind of, or it's
Wait, what?
it'll like, it'll copy.
Let's zoom on in and see if I'll have a chance of seeing it. So I'll zoom in, that is, because that's
It changes colors and it'll be different heights and stuff like that.
heard a whistle. A whistle.
That's not a whistle.
Like the ones blowing where
Shut the fuck up, Brian.
It's a. It's an animal.
What is that?
It's an animal.
It's
Animal.
I can't remember right now.
a bird or owl
No, I think it's a fox. I know it's an animal now.
The fox dreams are described as women dying.
Yeah. People like when they hear a fox in the woods, they think it's women crying or babies crying. It's getting closer. Yeah.
So what, you should back up.
You might notice like a wet line going on right now. I can't remember. I know what animal makes that noise. I just can't remember off the top of my head.
What is a raccoon?
No, it's right there.
99% sure it's a fox.
There's a fence there, but it's right there now.
Are you recording?
Yeah, I'm just gonna record everything for now. Yeah, I don't know what I like. The lantern, searching for his lost head, which I'm assuming that means that maybe it could have not been found. Who knows?
Probably exploded by the train.
That might be true. Sightings of the Husky light were first reported in the late 1800s, and reports continue to the present day. And after that it says additional research for this alleged haunting location is currently in progress.
There's also a B story, like a B-side, an alternative story, which we are going to now read to you guys.
And then we found this research by someone else,
which I suppose I could read.
you can read. I hope you read. It's probably best that it didn't record right the first time because you read pretty bad the first time.
Yeah, it's
I didn't even understand half the words you were saying, to be honest.
Early Station, the story. This story has two distinct versions. The first one, like many other North Carolina train track lights, involves a railroad worker who is run over by a train and now spends his nights scouring the countryside for his head. These stories never explain why in the world all these folks couldn't get out of the way of a train. The second, and certainly more interesting story, however, involves two trains that were never supposed to meet on the same track, with of course a most tragic ending. This version begins sometime around the turn of the last century, when train worker James Pierce, while on a nightly run to a Husky, suddenly sees a train heading right for him just as he's coming around a sharp curve. He hits the brake but instinctively knows it's too late, and he begins to brace for impact. Then, at the last instant, the second train veers off and conductor Pierce can see what appears to be a phantom train, lights and all, passing mere feet away from his car. Apparently heading to Outlander, the most memorable aspect, in fact, is that it appeared to be his own train. Mr. Pierce debates the situation, but ultimately decides to file a report at his next stop, Early Station. He received a lot of kidding, of course, about seeing his ghost train, and he never finished the report's paperwork. But those same folks who were ribbing Jimmy were silent a few hours later when they heard that Jimmy's train had jumped the switch, killing Jimmy Pierce and severely injuring several others on board. Today it is said that the light approaches the road crossing there as if it's on a mission. Perhaps conductor Pierce trying to get back to Early Station and complete his report. Growing brighter and brighter until it suddenly disappears just before reaching the road where the depot used to stand. On the other, Outlander side, you have a series of lights that look much like somebody swinging a lantern or two. Sometimes white, sometimes red, as though they are trying to warn the approaching train that the switch is not clear. I've even heard some folks tell me that they've heard the sound of the phantom train, although most of the stories include just seeing the lights.
You don't have to read this.
not. And then there is a section on someone's personal experience as well as exactly the location. We will not be reading those as I don't want to.
And they don't really have to do with the history, so there's not much need for that. But basically, that was all the history we were really able to find, which actually you get a side A, side B part of the story.
And once you see it for yourself, if you guys decide to go, you can obviously decide which story you believe is true. But
Either
that's-
way, when you go there is a creepy, unexplained, floating ball of light that moves around, changes colors, comes closer, goes farther, and
sometimes multiplies.
yes, every once in a while you get lucky and multiplies. Also, every once in a while, there's been one time ever that I've been that it did not show. One time ever. And you never ever can get close to it. It doesn't matter what you do. You can go down that track for hours. You'll never get any closer than you were when you started.
It will always be 35 to 45 feet away from you, and that's
The only thing that'll happen is the farther you go, the more things you'll hear in the woods, and the more eerie and creepy it'll get. And then at some point, you come to the realization that you have to then turn your back to all of that and walk that far away. Back
not
where
an
you came
amazing
from.
feeling.
No.
Um,
Which I can speak from personal experience. The farther you go, the more you hear, the creepier it gets. And someone I know that has gone back there said that they went for hours, and they went back there, and at some point they got to a section where they started to smell something foul, like something rotten or dead, and then they started to smell muskiness, and then all of a sudden the light starts going crazy, and they decide to run and leave. And then they later try to look up things to figure out what that smell is, and then they eventually kind of decide maybe it was a bear because of the smell of rottenness which could have been on it, and then the muskiness combining, and that they kind of felt like the light was trying to tell them to leave because of the bear. But I don't know, what do you guys think? You think the light was warning them, or do you think that the light was drawing them to it? I don't know. What do you
Well,
think?
Depending on what we read, it said it's warning of the train, so I believe it was warning him. And I know for a fact that there is black bears out here just from
Yep.
being out here. There's about 300,000 black bears in the U.S. right now, so you guys be careful out in the woods.
We've actually, believe it or not, since this is kind of more of a podcast thing with some snippets of what we did, I guess it doesn't really matter if we go off a little bit on a rant and talk about how many crazy encounters we have had in the woods. I mean, that's a pretty interesting
As far as
conversation we can
animals
have.
goes, yeah.
Well, let's just start with the first time we all were together when we saw a bear. Let's start that story. You can go.
I don't even remember the story.
You remember
No.
the path, and we turned the corner, and there was a black bear?
Oh, yeah, essentially we were just walking, because there's actually a path, a private property path that we trespass on.
Which we do on a regular basis, but don't trespass because
We're professional
You'll find out
idiots, you're not. Let us kill ourselves. So we were just kind of walking as we usually do, because it's just a long gravel path. It's not like paved down.
Yeah.
It's just a gravel path that people take their trucks behind, hunt, and there's actually, I've seen campers down there. I believe there's trailers at the end of it.
it's a hunting path.
Yeah, it's a
People
hunting
stay
path.
out for multiple days and hunt. So usually there's not many people out there.
Usually. And then if you go down, there's a kind of, it goes like this, and there's a there's a go off, like another gravel path that goes off called Temple Lane, because there's actually like a moth just flew into my ear. Anyways, it's called Temple Lane because there's actually like a sign.
Yeah.
And if you go down there, at the end you can keep going into like a wood path.
And it's a very narrow.
It's a very
To be
narrow.
honest, it's a kind of creepy
Yeah,
looking. Guy.
very. You're gonna get probably up to your knees wet.
Yes, in some sections.
In some sections, you're gonna get up to your knees wet. And there's actually beavers back there, and I can actually include a picture of a beaver tree we seen back there.
Yeah, we could, because we went recently
And
took pictures.
There's even a dam that has a waterfall.
Yep.
Over there. That's very loud, very pretty.
So it's
but
higher up than I am, so it's decent sized.
So
waterfall.
the only way we were able to get to it to where you can see it on the right side is you go, and then there's a tree that's fallen, and we walked along the tree that's just kind of sitting in the water till we could see it, and that's about the only way you can. It's a very treacherous, very nasty, very
it's basically a
not
path
good.
made by a current of water.
Yeah.
It's not meant to be
But
walked on.
the main reason we go back there is not actually for the beavers, it's for the blackberries. There's
Yes.
tons of wild blackberries that go back there.
Which, if you know bears, you know
they're going to eat blackberries. They're going to be around blackberries. Blackberries are just will draw bears in. Absolutely
I
insane.
love 'em.
So we just basically turned and we went down there some, and we just seen a black bear just kind of hanging around. And we actually heard it before, and we thought it was just either a wolf or a fox or something, which usually run at your sound, which most bears will actually run at your sound too. There are exceptions.
Yeah, for whatever reason, when he must not have heard us.
He must not have heard us, and we just walked up there and we seen him, and as soon as we seen him, we just kind of turned around and walked away.
Yeah, and just so you guys know, as soon as we made eye contact, the bear, he or she, took off away from us. So that just shows you what a bear would do if it comes across you most of the time.
Most of the time, there are obviously exceptions.
There's exceptions.
Carry bear mace or some sort of firearm. Or
Which
some sort of thing.
We actually do now because of how many experiences we've had, which you're going to get to hear a few of them tonight. It's nighttime.
Nighttime.
But you can't tell.
Sorry.
I'm sorry that we're not shooting in infrared. It'd be so much better if we were shooting in infrared, but it's not working. It's dead. So.
I think our bear and a bit extra history section is done. If you want to sign off for this, clip it.
Oh yeah, we can go ahead and give you guys a break of the talking and let you get into a little bit more of the video of the
Next.
the tracks.
Next time we're back, we're going to do a ton of shameless plugging of our other social medias.
Alright, we'll see you guys in just a few after these short messages. Light's not so active. Oh, the light's going off. Yeah.
Well, fox, right?
Look, did you see it, Renee?
Yeah. Yeah, fox, that's an interesting find here. It's definitely a fox.
Maybe we should just turn off all the lights and see if it.
That's what I would do.
Let's turn off all the lights and see what it does. Who's on the? Oh, shit. I think I'm gonna stop recording and see what happens too. So, hasn't been very much happening yet. We've seen the light a couple times, but oh, there it is. Did you see it, Renee? I wish it was showing up much better. I don't think the camera could pick it up. Oh, look at that. It's going off now.
Very light, so not
Cute.
very bright.
Yeah, it was green and red. This camera just can't see it from here. Would you see how big it was that time, Renee?
Why is it so smoky right there?
showed you that?